Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's online meeting. My name is Sally, and I'm the Sergeant of Arms at ToastEd Ed. This evening's meeting is 148th meeting, and the theme tonight is Dreams and Ambitions. And just a reminder for the guests who haven't been before, we at ToastMasters Ed, provide a supportive and positive experience in which members are empowered to develop in their communication and leadership skills, resulting in better self-confidence and personal growth. That's our aim, and it's a safe space. And you'll see lots of icebreakers this evening, and as the evening goes on, you'll be taught all the different things that go on this evening. Just a little bit of housekeeping because it's online. I'd like you to keep your cell phones on silent if you're not using them. And if your bathrooms are where you last left them, because you're obviously all in your homes. And we're going to have a fun evening, cold here in Cape Town. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Justine, our wonderful president. Thank you, Justine.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you to our wonderful SAA for the warm welcome and reminding our guests what our purpose is. So thank you for that. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, our members and our guests. Welcome to our Dreams and Ambitions event this evening. Firstly, I just want to touch base on two things that happened a few weeks ago and something that happened quite recently. We celebrate Kevin, one of our Toasted members' birthday on the 13th of August. So happy birthday to Kevin. I hope that he had a wonderful day celebrating himself. And then we also have a really big event which Verity has brought home yet again, the accredited speaker, and she is our fabulous member who in 2021 went and did the World Championship of Public Speaking and came first. And now from winning the World Championship of Public Speaking, she's gone on to shine as brightly as she continues to do and has brought home this new title of an accredited speaker. So well done to Verity. Just have to mention that and acknowledge all of our beautiful members and what they are getting up to when they're not in Toastmasters meeting. We also have our newest member online, which is Luke, who was one of the quickest signups along with Olga, where he came to one meeting and at the end of that meeting, he decided this is it, he's signing up for Toastmasters. So welcome, Luke. And we will like to celebrate you and induct you into our club in the next in-person meeting so that we can do it in person and it's just more welcoming that way. The 5th of September, we will welcome you officially into the club, but we look forward to your icebreaker this evening. And then I would just like to touch on our wonderful guests that have joined us this evening. I see some people unfortunately couldn't make it due to load shedding, but Luke Siba, what has brought you to our club this evening? Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so I was recommended, it's a bit of a long backstory, but I run my own business and I've been doing so for almost 7 years. And I had a business coach for a while, a few years back, and they recommended that I have a look and check out what Toastmasters is about. So I did some research. And then at the time, I was overwhelmed with a lot of stuff with work, and I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm a bit more settled, a bit more stable. And yeah, I wanted to explore this and see if there's anything that can assist me with bettering myself and helping with both leading people and how I communicate with them, as well as maybe any other sort of leadership skills that I could get from this. But I think just having a better grasp of like communicating with language and better usage of that. I don't think I did too well in school with it, but I have other skills that I don't know, that I seem to grasp a bit easier.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. And how lovely that your business coach suggests this Toastmasters. That's fabulous. And this is the place to be, to learn leadership skills and to learn how to communicate effectively. So you're in the right place, and I hope you have a lovely evening with us. And thank you for being with us today. And then Jeremy, what brings you to our club this evening?
Thanks, Justine. So I spent a week in the dark in a cave in Guatemala to meditate on life's purpose. A lot of stuff happened, but one of the things that came was I found what I'm here to do, and it's to build this inner transformation program for hypersensitive individuals to bring the heart back into modern day society. Big challenge, and I'm going to have to persuade a ton of people if I really want to make a dent and an impact. And so that's why I'm here.
Wow.
I want to build and establish, the skillful means to be able to convey a message that's powerful and compelling and transformative, really.
Wonderful. I can already see you have lots of stories to tell us about your journey.
Oh yeah.
Fabulous. And that's exactly what Toastmasters is about, because you'll see this evening we've got lots of speeches that come out in the evening, and everyone shares their story, and you're learning to master what it is that you're trying to get across by practicing speaking, and you're getting feedback and then making your speech even better than it was to start with. So enjoy your evening with us. Thank you. And then Avadni, I do have to acknowledge you because you are part of our furniture, but still a guest, but from our fellow Talking Heads Club. I know I don't need to ask the question because for you were asked to please join us. But is there anything else you wish to obtain from this evening?
Well, I visited your club twice now, seen you guys in action in person.
Yes.
And now I want to see how things go online. It's always good and exciting. I haven't actually ventured a lot online and different clubs during COVID. So this would be my really first proper online visit. So I'm keen to have this icebreaker and hope it will all go well. I think so.
Fabulous.
But yeah. And you're the club of choice.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And same back at you. Well, enjoy your evening with us, and thank you again for helping with evaluations. That's always such a vital part of everyone's growth. So thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to please ask everybody to unmute yourselves and raise your glasses so we can do a toast. And we would like to toast to South Africa and all her speakers. So we can go South Africa and all her speakers.
South Africa and all her speakers.
Great. I look forward to an exciting and uplifting and inspiring evening with you all this evening. I'm sure the stories that we will hear are going to uplift us and motivate us. And I now hand over as president role, but to myself once again as the Toastmaster of the day. I will be the Toastmaster of the evening, so basically the MC of the event, to help ensure that the meeting runs smoothly and that we have a really exciting, engaging, and fun evening together. It is my privilege to welcome each one of you to this captivating theme of dreams and ambition. And today, I think we will embark on a journey to explore everyone's aspirations, the driving force behind all of our limits, and the possibilities that lie within the realm of our imagination. So I look forward to having that and hearing our wonderful speeches tonight by some of our dearest members, some of our brand new members, some of our older members, and I'm wishing you all the best for your speech. Whatever happens, trust that it's meant to be, and it's a learning curve for you all. A reminder to please send words of affirmations, because we're not in the group, we're not in person, where we usually send out little notes of affirmations to everybody that speaks. Please will you use the chat box and just send anyone that's speaking, anyone you feel needs to hear a little word of encouragement so that we can keep the communication going and make sure that everyone feels heard. So I would appreciate that. Thank you. And then let us embrace this evening with our open hearts and minds, getting ready to learn and to challenge ourselves, to be inspired. And we can then move on to the very important roles that we have to keep, that help us keep us accountable. So all of the roles, we've got the R counter, we have the timekeeper, and Tabang has very kindly offered to take on the timekeeper for her very first time. So yay to Tabang, thank you so much. You'll be wonderful. And we also have Sean, who stepped in last minute to help with the R counter. So thank you, Sean. And Chantal is our grammarian. So tonight I will first welcome Sean as our counter to please let us know what your role is about tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So my role is to look for where language is being used to fill words and fill sentences. So I'm going to be looking for the ums and the ahs and the so's and. So I'll be making notes, and I'll give you my feedback at the end of the evening. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. I'll ensure not to use too many filler words. Please may I now invite Chantal to explain what the grammarian role is this evening.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As grammarian, it's my responsibility to intensely listen to all the speakers, listening carefully to their language use. I'll take note of any improper language, as well as outstanding words, quotes, or sayings. As grammarian, it is also my responsibility to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, considering the theme, dreams and ambitions, the word is resolute, which means to be purposeful and determined. And using it in a sentence sounds like she was resolute and unwavering in her ambition to succeed. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Chantal. Resolute is the word of the day, being purposeful and determined. Thank you, love that. And then, like I mentioned, for the first time, we have Tabang, who is our timekeeper. Tabang, you've got the important role of ensuring that we all are keeping to our time so that the meeting can run efficiently. I welcome you to please explain the role of your timer role.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening to you, the fellow Toastmasters and guests. As timer, I'll be timing the table topics speakers, formal speeches, and the evaluations. I'll alert each speaker of the time that they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards as usual. Green at the minimum point, yellow at the midpoint, and red just before they finish. So with the allocated times, I'll flash up the cards as you can see behind me. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Tabang. Good luck for your new role. You're going to be great.
Thanks so much.
So thank you to all of our wonderful role players. We wouldn't be able to have this meeting without you, and we appreciate all the efforts that you put in to making this all possible. We now are going to move on to the next roles, which are our evaluators. And our evaluators are just as important as the R counter, the grammarian, the timekeeper, because they are listening intently to the speakers this evening and to ensure that they get positive feedback so that they can take their speech and apply the feedback to make it even better for the next time. Our first evaluator is Libby. Libby, please may I ask you to share what your criteria is for our first speaker.
Hi, sorry, I'm just getting myself organized.
Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toasties. It's wonderful to be here. My role as an evaluator tonight for Luke, who is on the leadership development pathway. As his icebreaker, the purpose of this project is for a member to introduce themselves to the club and to learn the basic structure of public speaking. This speech may be on any topic, using any style that appeals to and to learn the basic structure of public speaking. I look forward to evaluating Luke and welcoming him to the club. And just to say, I'm very proud of our resolute Madam Toastmaster and President for setting such a high standard tonight and taking on so many roles. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Libby. You are a superstar. We are going to get to that moment in a few seconds where we welcome our very first speaker for the evening. So I'd like to please give a very warm welcome to Luke Stewart, a Dare to Dream. Dare to Dream by Luke Stewart. It's all yours, Luke.
Hello, everybody. The load shedding took me by surprise, so you're just going to give me a second to set up my little studio I've made. Can somebody just confirm if you can see me, first of all?
We can see you, but you're just a little bit in the darkness. If you stand where you are currently, it's quite great. Your lighting.
How's that?
It's more or less the
Closer.
same, but it's okay.
Okay.
But closer will do.
Okay. Have you ever sat dreaming, or maybe even started to seriously plan something you want to achieve, only to be hampered by your own thoughts and fears? I know I have, as has everybody I've ever met. This is going to be an exercise in dialect as much as public speaking for me, as I've noticed since arriving in South Africa that quite a few of you struggle with my accent. I was born and raised in the north of England to an Irish family, and realizing that my accent wasn't already strong enough, at the age of 18, I decided it would be a good idea to buy a caravan and become what I like to call a professional gypsy for the next 3 years, traveling and working across Scotland and Ireland. Eventually, I realized I needed to add some international nuances to my accent, so I found myself living for a time in Australia, then Canada, and for the last 6 years, I've been living in Croatia, speaking the language every day and running my own business. After selling my company earlier this year, me and my partner, who's a Cape Townian, decided we would make the move here to South Africa, and that's how I find myself with you all today. As much as it makes for a funny anecdote about my accent, the truth is I've never been one to shy away from my own dreams and ambitions, other than joining Toastmasters, which I actually plan to do in Australia in 2012. My dreams and ambitions are what gave me the good fortune of being able to travel and see as much of the world as I have. From being very young, I was able to travel to places that most children don't get to experience, as my father was an engineer working internationally. So at the age of 10, I would find myself traveling unaccompanied to Thailand. At the age of 12, I was spending my school holidays in Abu Dhabi. And by the age of 18, I knew it was a really big world out there and I wanted to explore it. I also knew I definitely didn't want to go to university. So when a family friend offered me an apprenticeship as a power line technician that would allow me to travel the country, moving every few months, I jumped at the chance. Unfortunately, this was a few weeks before my final matric exams, as you guys call it in South Africa. And much to my parents' dismay, I was already long on the road in my caravan by the time the sitting day came around. It developed into a career that allowed me to live in places as varied as the Australian outback, where it was 50 degrees every day, and the Canadian Rocky Mountains, where it was minus 30 every day. So Cape Town's really like a nice balance of something in between. Our dreams, and particularly our ambitions, are something that I believe are available to all of us within reason. And in general, the biggest obstacle to achieving them is usually ourselves. Fear and excitement are the same thing that they call, and in general, the only thing that gets in the way is us. How much time have you spent really challenging whether these thoughts and fears are justified, rather than just accepting them, deciding that your own dreams and ambitions are for somebody who is not you? There are still plenty of dreams and ambitions that I've taught myself out of taking seriously, and some that I'm gradually starting to recognize I can own fear into excitement. Take public speaking, for example. Public speaking has been my #1 fear for as long as I can remember, and particularly public speaking, talking about myself. And yet here I am tonight, talking about myself to what is essentially a selected group of the public. With that in mind, what is it that allows us to transition from fear to excitement? Or at the very least, what is it that allows us to feel that fear and go ahead and do it anyway? While sharing a little of my life and how I came to be here with all of you, I hope I'm able to inspire some of you to maybe look at your own fears and your own dreams and ambitions that have been sitting on your to-do list for a little too long. Life often allows us to go every step into them as we would like, if only we will get out of our own way. I will leave you with a quote from the book or movie, depending on your preferred medium, called June. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past me, I will turn to see fear's path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Thank you, guys.
Can I please ask everyone to stand and give Luke a virtual standing ovation?
Oh.
Thank you, guys.
Luke, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And someone's going to have to remind me, but just with regards to your accent, Mark Brown is a world champion, and I'm not too sure when he won the world championships. However, he says that your accent is does someone remember what it is? I want to say power, but it's not power. Your accent is does anybody else know? I'll get back to you on it because I cannot for the life of me remember what it is right now, but I will let you know. But thank you so much. It's really, really great. And thank you for reminding us to focus on our dreams and our ambitions in getting ourselves out of the way. Great first speech. Now I would like to please welcome our second evaluator, who is Sean. Sean, please will you share the criteria for our second speaker, Helanda?
So I will be doing the icebreaker speech for Helanda, looking for basic structure of public speaking. And I did speak to Helanda earlier about what he would specifically want me to look at. And he wanted it to be around use of language. For those of you that may not know, his first language is not English, it's Portuguese. So I will be doing his icebreaker around which is on the persuasive influence path.
Thank you very much, Sean. I give a warm welcome to Helanda Diego. Who am I? Who am I? Helanda Diego.
Thank you. Who am I? My full name is Orlando Sandro Afonso Diogo, but my friends like to call me Sandro. I'm from Luanda, Angola, a Portuguese-speaker country. I'm 45 years old, married to Nelsa, a truly splendid woman. Our children are Alicia of 1, Alessandro of 11, and Aureo of 5. I was born on September 15, 1977, and I'm the eldest of 4 siblings, inclusive 2 sisters and 2 brothers. As the eldest, I've always had a very keen sense of responsibility. With Virgo being my star sign, things have always resulted in more responsibility. However, I'm most often smiley and cheerful. Ever since I remember, I had the best childhood in the world. No matter how challenging and often sad the situation of civil war was that we faced, I was happy because I had the best friends, and for the most times we played outdoors, frequently going really far away from home. Of course, also with lots of pain, since our parents knew well how to manage their hands on our bodies. I remember one day that we tried to cook in the bush, not far from home, just on the outskirts of the building where I lived. Suddenly, to our horror, the bush caught on fire and burned almost everything nearby, even our neighbor's clothes that were lying on the grass. Oh my word. That day was surely the first craziest day in my life. During her lunch break, my mother found me under the bed with a burning fever. For the ones who were lucky enough to read Mark Twain's book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, they also need lots of similarities to my own childhoods. Unfortunately, In the end of 1992, because of the Angolan Civil War, for the first time, my city faced the war rampant in the streets. Because of it, few months after, my mother, my 4 siblings, and I had to flee the city down through the woods for 3 days and 2 nights, carrying only the clothes we wore on our bodies and almost no food or water. It was the second scariest moment of my life. Even my father was in a certain place because armed men had taken him 2 months before. Nevertheless, I was grateful to be alive. When I reached Luanda, the Angolan capital city, I faced a new start with lots of new challenges. We started by staying at relatives' homes, sometimes all of us, sometimes separately, a period that lasted about 3 years. My father was finally released thanks to the International Red Cross. However, for me, the joy of release was short-lived because my parents broke up a few months after. I managed to go to school and finish my 80th grade in a class of 84 students. At the end of the first month of classes, I sat exams and I have my first and only grade 0 in my entire academic periods. Eventually, I managed to enter the Catholic University of Angola with the promise of obtaining a scholarship in order to be able to cover the inherent expenses. 1 year after entering the university, the promise of the scholarship had not materialized. I was only able to survive because I was working as a primary school teacher and had to pay the tuition fees with 19% of my salary. Unfortunately, the school informed me due to financial setbacks, they could not renew the contract with me for the next year. Fortunately for me, thanks to a classmate, I got a new job as an aircom salesman after 3 months without paying the tuition fees. With the change of situation, I decided not to move to the other university. In 2006, I graduated with a law degree. 6 years later, I was qualified attorney at law. I started my job of today where I have been for 14 years, despite being a branch of activity that is still taking its first few steps in Angola. I'm still in love with my job. I work for Angolan Capital Market Regulator, namely Capital Market Commission, CMC, a counterpart of the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, FSCA in South Africa. My role is to draft laws in the securities market, issue regulations, instructions, and recommendations to the securities market in order to protect investors and to ensure the markets are fair, efficient, and transparent, while reducing system risk. On the top of romance, I met my wife, Mr. Diogo, in a nightclub called Mukwa, which is the term we use for the baobab fruit, in 2002. We danced 6 songs in a row. I recall one of the songs playing the words, hold me tight because I want you. With you, your way, with your warmth warm. After that, paradoxically, 5 years passed and I didn't see her again. Funnily enough, we then met again at a mutual friend's birthday party who confided in me that it was also Nelson's birthday on the same day. Since that day, I haven't not let her get away again. After completing all the famous formalities, we started living together and our first child was born in 2011. As the head of my cherished family and as father, I found myself worrying more about ensuring a better quality of life for my family. In a period of 12 years, I bought and started paying off a bond for our apartment. I got married, our 2 large children were born, and I met you all and began my journey with ToastEd Toastmasters. So who am I? I am the result of the interaction with you, all the things and all the people I have met so far. Madam Toastmasters, the fellow Toasties and guests, I take with pleasure sharing me with you. Thank you for your attention.
Wow, fabulous. Thank you. I would like to invite everybody to please give Herlanda a wonderful standing ovation virtually. Wow, thank you. Herlanda, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you met your wife those 5 years later and you haven't let her go again. And I'm so grateful to have you in our club. And we look forward to hearing many more stories from you. So thank you so much for sharing. Our next evaluator is Ivadni, and she is our special guest from Talking Heads, as we mentioned earlier. Thank you again for helping us tonight, Ivadni, and I would like to please invite you to share the criteria for Maximina's speech this evening.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Maximila's is, if I'm correct, she's on the following path. Persuasive influence is her path that she has elected. And this path, you will build skills of an innovative communicator and leader. And specifically tonight, she's going to have to present a speech that must be a speech with a purpose. It must be concise, to the point, and it must have a purpose. And of course, she must also persuade us. I am very much looking forward to her presentation. Her timing of the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. And a speech title, if I'm correct, can I read it, is Scrubs, Weeds, and a Little Bit of Sunshine Breeds Resilience. We are all looking forward to this awesome presentation of Maximina. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Ivadni. I warmly welcome Maximina Yokanwa. Shrubs, Weeds, and a Little Bit of Sunshine Breeds Resilience. Shrubs, Weeds, and a Little Bit of Sunshine Breeds Resilience. Maximina Yokanwa.
I promise you, it's not the weeds that you are thinking about, and you're going to have a wonderful time. So recently, like 3 weeks ago, I started going to gym. The first thing that my personal trainer told me, Maximina, for you to be successful in this gym life, you need to be resilient. Here I was, going through every day for the past 3 weeks, lifting weights, go Maxi, doing lunges, skipping, always singing, I am resilient, I am resilient, I am resilient. But all I could think about was, oh my goodness, this is so painful. How many of us here, colleagues, when we face with a challenge or when you're going through some troubles in your life, people always come to you and say, oh my goodness, Justin, Yvette, Sean, you need to be resilient. But wait a minute. Have we ever stopped and think what exactly resilience is all about? I mean, it cannot be a one-size-fits-all, right? Rather, it has to speak to individualism for it to work and for it to be practical. I love how our very own, drum roll please, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Verity, she is my inspiration, a woman that I look forward to and learn from. She defied all the odds. She raised the flag internationally, being resilient and showing us what we can achieve if we put our best foot forward. After 80 years, an African, a woman won the world champion in public speaking. And we could all follow through her journey, how from practicing an Oscar speech to the fear of standing in front of 600 girls, to that strong voice that was inside of her that wanted to be heard and couldn't keep quiet. We have learned from Verity that it is important to define our own resilience in our own terms, in our own convictions, owning a bit of each and every process leading to this beautiful life. Now we have an accredited speaker. Resilience has to resonate with something deep inside our human hearts, our human spirits. It has to become practical, understood, and real in order for us, or us really being relevant to the notion that and everything that we want to achieve in life through resilience. Resilience is about keeping on trying every day through the ugliness, through the beauty, through the good, and perhaps through the fairy tales that come sometimes. We forget even the realities of life. Let me take you back to my icebreaker speech. You remember where you all stood up and you clapped for me? You remember that? I told you I had a 2-year gap before going to high school because of lack of no school fees. On the flip side of it, what I didn't tell you was I was also diagnosed with a rare disease that is called neuropathy paralysis. I became a cripple and couldn't walk for 2.5 years. Staying indoors, no friends, nothing to do, and in the most depressing moment. In those moments, it was so hard to even imagine what resilience is all about and how I could possibly rise above every excruciating pain, let alone even dare to dream. Here I was, and hear what they don't tell you about. Resilience can be a murky process. The pain, screaming, depression, it all comes down pouring on you. I've learned that resilience can be what you as an individual want it to be. It's about taking it in one day at a time, believing in yourself. All the efforts that you're putting in will eventually announce your arrival of understanding what is resilient. There's a famous quote that I love about Elizabeth Edwards, which said, accepting your new reality is what is called resilience, even if it's less good than the one we had before. This inspired my own journey as I recognize that it might take a bit longer. It might be a longer route, like for me being crippled for 2.5 years, but eventually it will get you where you want to be. You can scream, you can blame others, you can fight it and do nothing, or you can come into acceptance and try to put together something that is beautiful, something that is good, something that is yours, and you own every process, every moment that comes with it. It is only now that I reflect and appreciate every antidote of resilience at every stage of my life that I'm now here today. Look, I'm not here to motivate you. I'm not a motivational speaker, no. I'm simply showing you that with a little bit of resilience in our life journey, during those hard and rocky places, we have a chance with resilience. Will it be easy? No. Is it worth it? Well, there are different opinions out there, but for me, I cherished every tear, pain, depression, and I appreciated all the process that I had to go through for me today. I am here. I am present. I am okay. And most importantly, I am resilient. Thank you very much.
Great, Maximina. You are more than okay. You are brilliant and you're doing amazingly. Your enthusiasm when you speak is contagious. It really, really is. And thank you for sharing your story. I think it's definitely resonating in all of our hearts right now. And thank you for reminding us to believe in ourselves. Thank you. Our next evaluator is John. I would like to invite John to please share the criteria for our fourth speaker, Lawrence.
Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toasties, it is my pleasure today to evaluate Lawrence. He will be speaking as part of the Motivational Strategies Pathway, and his focus is on effective body language, specifically movement and gestures, and nonverbal communication. His speech is entitled, The System.
Thank you very much, John. Sounds very interesting. I would like to welcome Lawrence Bull, The System by Lawrence Bull.
If you measure a fish's worth by their ability to climb trees, that fish will always believe that it is inferior. My fight is not with you, it is more with the education system as a whole, because I believe schools and universities ill-prepare students for real world and life. And how do I know this? Well, I am a product of the system, as are you, and I hope that at the end of the speech, you too will see the light. Madam Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, we are all born with special gifts. What is yours? Are you musical? Analytical? Are you social? Are you good with people? Do you like sports? Are you wise? Are you goofy? Like Dr. Zeus once said, there is no one youer than you. So what makes you, you? Now, sometimes that's a really hard question to answer. And I believe it's because at school we aren't encouraged to explore these important life questions. Instead, we're given the same measuring tape as everyone and confronted by our inability to climb trees as well as the person next to us. When I was 16 years old, I had my first taste of the system. I had to choose my career path. And at first, when I was asked, I had ums and ahs, and I thought of all the great impossible things that I could do, like write a book or start a business or become a professional sportsman. But that's when my teacher stopped me and told me what my options actually were. And based on this test and assessment that I had done, I had three options. I could become a doctor, an accountant, or be some guy in IT. Meanwhile, I was like every other 16-year-old who was going through an identity crisis. I wasn't prepared to decide the fate of my future, and I think it's so unfair that we pose such a difficult question to such a young, impressionable mind who hasn't lived enough life yet to really make that kind of decision. So instead of empowering the child to understand value systems and gain key skills like offered IT as the most viable path to employment. And so my fate was sealed. I had a knack for sports. I was a good sportsman, good eye contact, good hand-eye and ball coordination. I was a diamond in the rough when it came to music. I could maybe play if I had spent some time there. I could speak pretty well, and sometimes I believed I was a pretty good philosopher. And I had all of these gifts and these talents that were left unopened. So what about you? Are there any talents that you've let slip? They say that the graveyard is the richest place on earth because that's where all ideas and dreams that were never acted upon go to die. We can't keep measuring everyone with the same measuring stick because intelligence and beauty and gifts come in different forms. Did you know that there are over 7 different types of intelligences? The first, visual spatial. This is the ability to perceive the world accurately through sight and manipulate mental images. Think of a chess grandmaster who's able to visualize multiple moves ahead. The second, linguistic verbal. Proficiency in language, both in written and spoken, and the capacity to deliver your speech effectively, like a skilled storyteller who captivates the audience. Uses all the techniques of Toastmasters to deliver an epic speech. Number 3, logical, mathematical, an aptitude for reasoning, problem solving, and thinking on a mathematical level. Imagine a computer programmer who is able to do complex lines of code and deliver great functionality. Number 4, body kinetic, master of bodily movements and coordination. So the best example is a professional dancer who gracefully goes from one part of the stage to the next and wows you as her body moves in grace and precision with the music. Number 5, you've got musical. Think of a talented conductor, orchestrating a symphony with precise timing and emotional depth. Number 6, interpersonal. The ability to understand and interact effectively with others, often seen as natural leaders and empathetic individuals. Picture a skilled mediator bringing 2 divorcees together to finally close the estate. And then number 7, intrapersonal. And this is where you've got a heightened self-awareness and capacity to understand your own emotions, motivations, and inner thoughts. So similar to a skilled therapist helping someone navigate their own mental landscape. Those are just 7 different types of intelligences. What about gifts and talents? And what about all these other great things that we could, if we were given the chance to explore what we could create? I don't need to tell you this, but you know that you're not a fish. And you should not be defined by your ability to drive or climb a tree. The education system is outdated, and it needs to pivot from a factory-style system that generates employees to a safe, exploratory space where we can question freely, almost like a Toastmasters, but for learning and developing young minds. And to help us answer that question, what are my gifts? Yes, there should be time for maths. There should be time for accounting. Sports plays an important role. We need breaks. We need these different subjects. But if we don't empower kids to believe in themselves, then maybe the future won't be brighter than it is today. Because no one is more youer than you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, thank you, Lauren. I can definitely agree with the system flaws. And I remember that same journey when it's time to choose your career path at that age, and it's daunting and you have no clue what it is that you're wanting to do. And thank you for reminding us to find those gifts of ours within ourselves. Great speech. Thank you. To all of our speakers, that brings us to an end of our prepared speeches. I thank you all for taking the time to prepare and giving us your best speech that you could have given tonight. So I appreciate that and I thank you. Now we have got an interesting and exciting educational with Willem. Willem is going to share some insight into Easy Speak. I'm not going to give much away because I am here to learn along with you. So Willem, I hand over to you and thank you so much for preparing this for us today.
I must unmute myself. Okay. So Easy Speak, let's quickly talk about Easy Speak. Is a web interface that was developed by other Toastmasters around the world, which basically help us to put together the evening in terms of organized speeches and the different roles like our counter, grammarian, all of that little things. What we would like to show you tonight is that we would like everybody in the club eventually to get to a point where you can basically log into the system and where you can interact with the system. And in the next day or so, I will send each one in the club an email with what their username and their email address is. And let me just go here to share my screen. I must just check where. Justine, will I be able to share my screen? Yeah.
Yes, you've started sharing. Great.
Okay, perfect. So this is basically how the Easy Speak website looks. So here on the left-hand side here, there's a place where you can log in. So when you receive your email later this week with your username and email address, there's a link here that says, I forgot my password. So you can go on that link and it will then ask you for your username and email address that you can put in there and you submit. And then the system will then generate the email password that it will then send to you. And that will then allow you to log into the system. So if you see here on the left, I've got a test user account just to show you what a normal user will basically see. So there is a link there for ToastEd once you've logged in. And then the system will basically show you the next meeting, which in our case is the 5th of September. But the most exciting part of the Easy Speak is that it allows you to book for speeches. So there's an option here, request a speech. So you, as ToastEd members, can then actually go and you can put your speeches in here. Like I would normally WhatsApp you and ask you what your title is. And you can then put your title in there. You can put your, let me just get my mouse here. And here you can select what your workbook or your path is that you selected from on Toastmasters International. And then you can select your preferred dates. So for now, I think the most important thing is, I know it's a lot of technology and there's a lot of stuff where we eventually want to get to. But I think the important thing for us now is to get to everybody just to be familiar to log in and to actually interact with the system. Because what would typically happen in the normal flow of events is when the meeting gets opened, it will basically send the email to all the club members, and there's actually a link in there where you can basically indicate whether you're going to attend the meeting or you're not going to attend the meeting. That will then basically allow us to see who's the people that can take on roles. So also for now, we will manually allocate roles, but eventually as we all become familiar with Easy Speak, the Easy Speak can actually randomly start assigning roles. But for now, also the thing is that you can start to schedule your speeches when you become familiar with it. Let me just unshare here. And where do I go? Okay, how do I unshare?
I don't know too much about it. Is it
Okay,
on the
there
top?
we go. Stop share.
Yeah, stop share.
There we go. Okay. So that's basically just the thing is you will get an email in the next couple of days with your email address and username, and then you will be able to start get a feel with the system and look out if you got emails that talks about the next meeting. Be brave, click on the link, accept the meeting. If there's an email that you get that's going to ask you to do a speech or to accept a role, again, be brave, click on the links. We're all here to learn. Myself and Sean, we've been playing around with the system quite a bit as well. And there is on the WhatsApp group, if you feel you've done something, send me a WhatsApp. We'll look at it and we'll fix it in the background. So don't be scared to interact with it. I think that's the the important thing for now. And then eventually we will all get into the flow and we will all get familiar with it. So that's for me.
Thank you, Willem. This is all very exciting, and I promise on behalf of all of our members that we will be brave and we will explore this new system and take on role, and we will transition from the tracker to Easy Speak once we all are in the know of how it all works. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us today. It's now time for our timekeeper to share the times for all of our prepared speeches to ensure that they are sticking to their time, and if they didn't stick to time, to keep that in mind for future speeches. Tabang, please may I ask you to give us the times for each prepared speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'll start with the icebreakers. Luke had 6 minutes and completed a speech in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yolanda also had 6 minutes and completed a speech in 7 minutes, 15 seconds. And then the main speeches, Maximina had 7 minutes and completed in exactly 7 minutes. How's that for being resolute? Lawrence also had 7 minutes and completed in 6 minutes and 58 seconds. Both very resolute to be within that time frame. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tabang. What a great, insightful, and very diligent time report you gave us. So thank you. We will now take a little moment. I'm going to share a screen with you, just to please take a few seconds to take your cameras out and just scan the QR code that's on the screen so that we can vote for our best speaker. This is just for the best speaker or best prepared speech. So may I ask you to please just take a few seconds to do that. Has everyone managed to scan the code? I'm hoping so. Okay, great. I see a few thumbs up. Thank you. That then gives us some exciting news for later when we do our awards. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. Let me just see how we're doing for time. Yeah, maybe we can just meet back at 16 minutes past. It's meant to be 15 minutes past, but we can meet back at 16 minutes past 7. During the break, I think Sean and Willem, as far as I'm aware, may just chat to some of the members to see if there are any roles that need filling for the next few meetings. And you may go and have a quick break, have a snack, get some water, and we'll see you all back at 16 minutes past 7. Thank you.
Yes, we definitely want to engage people in roles. So
okay.
We will do it on the text chat.
Back there. I was just going to remind you about the recording. Well done, Justine. Let me just put my video back on. I hope everyone managed to get themselves something topped up their warm drinks here in Cape Town for the next half of our meeting. What an inspirational night of speeches. I'm loving it. Well done.
Everybody back. Welcome back to the second half, and there's more to come. Just a little reminder from our dear timekeeper for the evaluators to now please pin the timer. So you just click the top right 3 little dots and you pin the timer so that you can ensure that you stick within your time frame for the evaluations, which is 3 minutes. I would like to call upon our first evaluator, Libby, who is evaluating Luke. Libby, please go ahead with your evaluation. Are you there, Libby? I see you.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm just trying to ping everything.
Okay, perfect.
Good evening, everybody, and a special evening to Luke. Luke, what an honor and a privilege it is for me to evaluate your icebreaker today. As this is my first evaluation, I was resolute coming into the meeting tonight to do it to the best of my ability, and you have made this very easy for me. Luke, from the moment that you started speaking, you had me captivated. Your accent is your superpower. You took us on this amazing, inspirational Dare to Dream journey. I grew up caravanning as a child, and as a result, I found myself being transported to all the incredible places that you have visited. How lucky for all of us that you've landed up in South Africa. You spoke with ease and clarity and had us all relaxed and engaged. Luke, just a few tips going forward. I noticed that once you started to relax, you started to use your hands, and that body language that you used drew us in even more. I realized that you wanted to stand a little bit further back, and you asked us at the beginning whether we could see you. And I'm sure when you are presenting in person, everybody is going to get even more from these amazing speeches that you're going to make in the future. But from an online perspective, it would be nice if you could stand closer, even if we don't get to see all of you, just so that we can see your face and you can reach into the screen a bit more, so that we can see your eyes and you can engage us with your eye contact. You were comfortable in what you had to say, and I think that your Dare to Dream journey, you have got so many stories that are in this icebreaker that we at ToastEd are going to get the benefit of listening to. Another comment is that I know that as I'm also new to Toastmasters, that one can rely on notes, thinking that you need those notes, but you speak so comfortably, you have so many stories that I know it will just be a short space of time where you're going to be able to drop those notes and just speak with comfort. And in closing, I'd just like to thank you once again for transporting us, inspiring us, motivating us. I look forward to listening to many of your speeches, and thank you for joining Toastmasters. And just remember that you can do this. You've done so many challenging, incredible things in your life, and public speaking is just going to add to that amazing list of things that you dare to dream. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you very much for the feedback, Libby.
Libby, thank you so much for your insightful evaluation as your first evaluation. That was just wonderful. It was resolute. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you. I would like to welcome our next evaluator, who is Sean, and he is evaluating Holanda's speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. What a resolute speech that was from Holanda. It was captivating, gripping. And when you opened it up, Holanda, you said your nickname was Sandro. And I'm wondering why we don't call you by that nickname, because it's such a nice nickname, Sandro. It just had such a nice appeal. You started off by telling us you were the eldest son and you needed to have a keen sense of responsibility, and that your star sign Virgo mapped to responsibility. And then you went in to tell us that you grew up in a civil war where there was a brush fire that you were caught up in, which was frightening for you. And then you spent 3 days and 2 nights with almost no food and water. And the thing that you said at the end of that was, I'm grateful to be alive. And it was the second most scary time of your life. I felt that in you. I felt how you connected with me. I could feel that fear growing in me. And then you went on to hold an important job. You qualified out of your own struggles to study, where you were almost evicted or kicked out of the studies because you didn't have enough money, and you had to go and get a job and earn that money to become this attorney that became this very important job. So I have such respect for what you did. And then you went on to tell us about how you danced 6 songs in a row with a woman that I thought you were going to tell me was going to be your wife. And you had the song that was playing called Hold Me Tight, but you didn't hold her tight. She left. 5 years later, you got hold of her again. And then you met her at a friend's party and you married her. It's such a sweet tale. That's like such a, that you can make a movie out of that. And then you made a comment at the end which said I am the result of all the people I've met. That's a beautiful way of capitulating where you've got to about who am I. Your English was good. So you asked me to look at that. I thought your English was good. I heard you clearly, and your vocabulary, use of vocabulary was good. If there was things that I would just want you to pay attention to is I think it's better if you stand on Zoom where instead of sitting, because you get more body language in. And then I would have wanted to see more hand movements and gestures, just so that you could take me more on that journey with you. But on the whole, it was a fantastic speech, Yolanda. Well done on your icebreaker. Well done.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sean. I'm loving hearing the word of the day. I'm sure Chantal is having a challenging time jotting them all down. Sean, it was your first evaluation too, and so warm and so uplifting. So thank you for that, especially for an icebreaker speech. Our third evaluator is Evadne. Please, Evadne, I welcome you to share your feedback for Maximina's speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Maximina. I had to make notes here in the dark in load shedding. I think it just helps me to recall what a wonderful presentation. Attention grabbing, definitely your introduction. In fact, if I'm correct, you use a skill, a kind of a self-deprecating joke about the weeds, that we're not talking about the other weeds, but the weeds. That was clever, that was crafty, and it is an advanced skill. You journeyed through your gym joining process, and you had a wonderful presence, a sincere presence when you delivered. You have an easy listening voice. You are a storytelling voice. People listen to you. You also have a lively and animated face. On screen, it is just something you just want to look at you for longer than your speech allocated time. You grabbed our attention, and you individualized your message. Then you went and you related to the audience by using an example of verity. Then you shared an intensely personal, for me, I'll later suggest, that is the ultimate story of your presentation, was your personal story. And then again, you motivated us in being flexible, subtleness, and bounciness, because that is what resilience means. My areas for improvement: your screen presence. Be careful, your hand gestures, you go off screen. You need to practice that, especially when you're online. Then also watch your hands. You speak with your hands. And sometimes he's got the purse, but most of the time we see your lovely manicured hands grasping one another because you speak with your hands. Specific areas of improvement for me are the following. You had to deliver a concise presentation. That's why I said your personal story should have been your main focus. The other stories was good. However, you need to be brief and concise and to the point. You also, your hand gestures, you could have done more with it. There was a time you talked about fighting, fist you could have had, and also maybe have it more purposeful. Your tone, you wanted to scream when you had the difficulties. Why not scream? I know we're online. Elevate your tone, your voice, your pitch to enhance that. In closing, being persuasive is a call to action. You cannot apologize for it. You want us to be resilient the way you have proven to be. You have to call us to action in a very powerful manner. I want to just conclude by saying you have a stunning personality. You personify resilience, and your personal story was beautiful, and it was really the core of your presentation. You remain resolute in your life of resilience. I love, and I will end off with your quote, accepting your new reality is resilience. Congratulations, Maximina. I really enjoyed your presentation, and I'm looking forward to hearing you again, and hopefully I've given you some feedback to work on. Madam Toastmaster.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Yvette. I really enjoyed your feedback. I'm going to take all of it and really practice it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vadne. That is amazing. You've given such detailed feedback for and acknowledged Maximina's beautiful speech and how her personality just shines through when she speaks. Our last but not least evaluator is John. John, I welcome you to please share your feedback for Lawrence's speech.
Can a fish be trained to climb a ladder? You bet they can. For example, here is a fish ladder being built very near to me right now that will allow fish to go around a dam. And fish can do it, but these fish ladders, they are incredibly expensive. These baby fish have to be very resolute to go up this ladder. And a very large percentage of these fish do not make it up the ladder at all. And that's sad. Do we really want our children to have to do that? I don't think so. Now, Lawrence, your speech spoke to me, in part because I was a member of that system growing up through education. I didn't know what I wanted to do or would be good at. And unfortunately, as a parent, I believe that I also was a promoter of that system. And I'm not happy about that. So thank you for bringing up this very serious topic. During your speech, I was largely looking for nonverbals, and you had lots of them. I won't go over all of them, but the main point was all of your nonverbals agreed with each other. Your facial expressions, your hands, how you looked and moved, they all told a story together of seriousness, of resolution, that we need to fix this, and that people, if they want to become themselves, should try to get out of this system. Your nonverbals agreed with each other. I had a hard time finding anything wrong with your speech. If there was one thing I might work on, is that because I was looking at your nonverbals, I was looking at your hands, and I really liked the fact that you were close to the camera because I could see your face, but sometimes I would get only half a hand gesture, kind of like this. So maybe work on some sort of camera type thing where you can be a little bit further back or bring your hands closer. But that's minor. To me, your speech was very motivational, especially when you asked, are there any dreams that you are not fulfilling? And then you had a long pause. That had me think that, yes, as a fish, you know, maybe I am caught in a net and being pulled along by something that is not my dreams. Good job, Lawrence.
Oh, John, thank you so much. You always have such a fun and entertaining way of giving feedback. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to all of our evaluators for such detailed feedback and resolute feedback this evening. Each time you give feedback, you help the speakers reach their fullest potential. So thank you once again. Tabang, our wonderful timekeeper, please may I ask you to share the times for the evaluation speeches this evening?
Madam Toastmaster, the evaluators all had 3 minutes, and I'll start with Libby, who had 3 minutes 18 seconds, Sean 2 minutes 52 seconds, Ivadne 4 minutes 20 seconds, and John 3 minutes 19 seconds.
Wonderful. Thank you, timekeeper. It is now the exciting time of the meeting that everyone gets either excited or incredibly nervous about, where guests and members and fellow Toastmasters are invited to take part in impromptu speaking. You have 1 to 2 minutes to speak about something that Willem will give you, and you just go with whatever comes to your mind. And I will leave it up to Willem to please share with us more about table topics and the wonderful topics he has chosen this evening. Willem.
Okay, greetings, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of Topic Master is to facilitate table topics where guests and members will have the opportunity to speak their impromptu speaking. I will introduce a topic and call on speakers who will be given 2 minutes to speak on the subject. Okay, can we maybe by show of hands get our first volunteer? It doesn't look like we're going to get a volunteer, so we'll just pick the first one in the left corner here. Jeremy Hamilton.
You had Libby.
Oh, you got Libby. Okay. With Libby. Okay. Let me give you your. Just get my screen here. Okay, Libby. If you were president for a day, what would be your first ambition for the country, and how will you achieve it?
If I was president for the day, what would be my first ambition and how would I achieve it? My absolute pet hate is litter. And I think it was the president of Rwanda that managed to clean up Rwanda by having a litter day. I think it was a Sunday where everybody went out and picked up litter. I honestly believe that if we inspired people to just pick up the litter around their homes, around their communities, made it fun, made it exciting, got programs going, recycling programs going, that would inspire a lot of optimism and hope in our country. So if I was the president, I would go on a big campaign, a litter campaign, starting with the youngest to the oldest, encourage the municipalities to have little competitions as to which area would be the cleanest. I would make a theme, whether it was everybody has to wear a hat that is made out of recycling, and let's all get together and start cleaning up our districts. I'm a school teacher, so this would be very easy for me. And I see it as an opportunity that would inspire children, grannies and grandpas. And just imagine if we had one day where we all picked up some litter and threw it in a bin, how beautiful our beloved country would look. Thank you.
Thank you, Livy. That was very inspiring. Let's see. Jeremy, would you like to do a table topic?
Sure, I can try.
Okay, let me get your one. Do you think people's dreams can change their lives? Why or why not?
If I believe if dreams can change people's lives, then why or why not? There is a mythic being called the Sandman, and this man is the Lord of Dreams. There's actually a Netflix show about this, and in one of these episodes, people lose the ability to dream. And what happens is that people start chopping each other up, and it becomes quite the massacre, and people kind of start killing each other. The moral of the story in this case is without dreams, there might not be a wish to live. If you would imagine not having a dream, what would you do? What would be the point of your life if dreaming is nothing that exists anymore? The sheer fact of not being able to dream means that you wake up not knowing what you should do, want to do, need to do, have an urge to do. What would you be in love with if there's nothing left to dream for? I am very much convinced that if we lose the ability to dream, to chase dreams, we require a dream. If we lose this ability, then life ceases to exist altogether. And this is what I'll conclude with.
Wow, that was amazing. So who will be our third person? Do we got any hands?
I'll be brave.
With that, Sally.
Yeah. I've been told to speak at any opportunity. Hey, Lawrence.
If you could live anywhere besides where you live now, where would it be?
If I could live anywhere besides the place I live now, would probably, difficult question because there's so many places I love. One would be my childhood country, Zambia. I just love that to me is real Africa. The sound of the cicadas, the sound of the rain, the smells, the heat, the dry heat, I love. But I also love my place of birth, London, England, particularly the countryside. There's something quaint about it. There's something villagey about it. There's something small world about it. I quite like it there too. I don't know where I would want to be. But Cape Town to me gives me all that I want right now. For now, who knows in another season. But for now, it gives me the mountains. It gives me the beaches. It gives me the quaint little shopping centers. There are some little villagey type centers here and places to go and explore. It gives me the winelands. It gives me Cedarburg if I really want to go up there. It kind of gives you the beach if you want the beach. So Cape Town pretty tops it for me at the moment, as a place to live, despite all its problems. It's a magical, wonderful mother city. I love it.
That's awesome. You're reminding us all why we want to study in Cape Town. Who would be next? Olga. Are you ready for it?
I'm never ready, but I will try.
Okay, let me give you one. Where do I got now? Okay, what would you change about the modern school system, and why should we consider your proposal?
Okay, modern system of the school. My sons are big enough, and I understand where is the problem is actually. I always was wondering why we paying such a big amount of fees, school fees, monthly, and parents actually taking the bonds to provide the education to their kids. And meanwhile, we still hire the teachers on the side. We still paying more money for extra classes. So this is always my concern, but as a parent, I have to provide a good education. And both my sons took the extra classes, math, physics, Afrikaans, English. This is my concern about, and I would love to change in modern education to give, I wouldn't say it is the teacher's fault or the teacher's job, actually. It's the whole system which need to be changed to provide to kids the secure education and make sure that if they go to university, they will be confident. What would I change? I wouldn't put the level of education, for example, like math nowadays, I don't know, 35% must be the max. Afrikaans, something else. So it is, and every year we can see that it's the level is going down, down, just to accommodate kids, make sure that they are comfortable. But you never will achieve something if you will be not out of your comfortable zone. Here we go.
Brilliant. So if our president ever needs a minister of education, we can nominate you. Okay, final one. I've got a fun one. So who's going to go for it? We haven't
I'll
spoken
go,
tonight. Who's there?
I'll go.
Sean.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's going to be a brilliant one for you. What is the most important step to calm down a person who is angry?
So the most important step for me would be to first tell the person that I understand how they're feeling, and then try and get the person to relay how they're feeling to me and internalizing it. So I would be asking things like, how does that make you feel? And when is the last time that you felt like this? And then I would possibly ask them to count to 10 and just count to 10 backwards, because that would be just to be able to take the heat out the moment and let the person feel that they are coming back into their body and they're feeling their consciousness again. And then I would play that out, and I'd say to that person, this is just an aspect of something that someone's raised a charge with you, and you can see that as like a like the Buddha said, if I offer you a gift and you don't take the gift, who owns the gift? So when someone makes you angry, don't punish yourself, don't take the gift. That's what I would say.
Brilliant. I think any lady here would think you are a very exemplary husband if you're going to be so considerate when they're angry. But thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. I'm handing back to you.
Willem, thank you so much. This is your first time as Table Topics Master, and you provided everyone with such thought-provoking table topics. So thank you very much for that. Also want to just acknowledge all of our Table Topics speakers. You were brave and you all did an outstanding job. So thank you very much. Tabang, as our lovely timekeeper, please will you share with us the times for our Table Topics speakers?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The table topic speakers all had 2 minutes. And we'll start with Libby. Libby had 1 minute 56 seconds. Jeremy, 1 minute 30 seconds. Sally, 1 minute 23 seconds. Olga, 2 minutes 10 seconds. Sean, 1 minute 30 seconds.
Thank you very much, timekeeper. Before we get back and get feedback from our other role players, I'd like to please ask you to just take a moment to vote for our best evaluator and our best table topic speaker. Let me just share my screen. Everybody good to go? I would like to now please welcome our counter. So it's that moment of the evening where we hear about the filler words that we've made use of. Sean, please will you share your R counter report with us?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I had Sally with 2 M's, Justine with 1 so and a then, Chantal 1 Tabang 1 Luke, your first speech, and there wasn't one thing that I could pick up out of your thing. It was brilliant. Well done. Maximina, the same. I couldn't pick up anything. Olga, you had 7 and 3 Lawrence, you had 1 repeat word. Evadni, there was 1 repeat word. John had 1 then. Libby, 2 1 so and 2 repeat words. And that was it. Very good evening. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sean. That's quite impressive. Chantal, may I please ask you to share your grammarians report with us?
Thank you so much. This was so enjoyable listening to these interesting, insightful, and inspiring stories. I'm going to say who used the word of the day, resolute. Well done. Forgive me if I've missed you, but Libby, Tabang used it twice, Justine, Sean, Evadni, and John used the word resolution. So I'm not sure if I missed the word resolution. So well done on that. And thank you for using my word. Then we're going over to the, I'm glad that I'm counter's done, the speeches. So I'm looking for interesting phrases. There was so much being said that I'm not going to go into improper grammatical use. There's just too much going on and I can't write that quickly. So I'm going into your amazing phrases. Luke, exercise in dialect as well as public speaking. What a turn of phrase. And then professional gypsy just put us in a beautiful picture. We were right there with you, so well done for that. Dreams sitting on your to-do list. I love that, and I think I'm going to put that on my pin board. Which dreams are sitting on my to-do list. And your quote, I think, which Sean also mentioned, was when the fear has gone, there will be nothing, only I will remain, which is obviously a very powerful quote. Herlanda, a truly splendid woman. I hope my husband refers to me behind my back like that. I really do, and I'm going to tell him. And this phrase was so interesting to me, Herlanda. I'm still thinking about it. Our parents knew how to manage their hands on our bodies. I think I'm going to ask you about that later. And I love in the middle of that, I have not let her get away again. So that really painted a picture for us. And then the quote that Sean also said was, I'm the result of all the people I've met, which is an amazing concept to give to us. So thank you for that. Maximina, resilience cannot be a one size fits all. And so that's just, it gives us a concept to think of and work of and just make us think a bit bigger. And resilience has to resonate, which I think should be a phrase that you should use somewhere in some other speeches, because I think it's powerful, it's big, it's a wonderful concept. Lawrence, Lawrence, there's so much, but let's dip in a little bit. If you measure a fish's worth by its ability to climb trees, and you had us right there, and we were right there up with the fish climbing the trees, and there is no one newer than you. Beautiful Dr. Seuss quote, and something that I think we'll all remember as well. It's just so powerful. Your other things are also amazing, but that one. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. And you were talking about a dancer. Her body moves with grace and precision, which is a beautiful poetry of the language. So thank you so much for that, Lawrence. And those are just a few things, obviously. Libby, transported to all the places is just a phrase that you just took us, as you were transported to places, you took us with you in that phrase. Sean, but you didn't hold her tight. I'm sorry, I had to laugh. And it was such a good play on, it was with Herlanda's speech. Yeah, it was a good play on Herlanda's speech. I enjoyed that. Evadne used so many words at the same time, was self-deprecating, clever, and crafty. And your other sentence was to personify resilience. When you were talking about Maximina's speech, is very powerful language. John, the way you evaluate, I'm going to come for lessons. Can I please come for lessons on evaluation, John? Because can a fish would be trained to climb a ladder? You bet he can. And you had us from there. And Libby, how beautiful our beloved country would look. Just made us just appreciate our country. Jeremy, the moral of the story is without dreams, you wouldn't have a wish to live. It's a very powerful concept for us to think about. Sally, the sound of is it cicadas? Are these trees or what are they? Because I was just like, are we talking about trees?
I think I said they used the wrong word. It isn't cicadas. Those little insects. Yeah,
oh, the insects. Because I was like, what are we? You know what I mean? It was just such a beautiful imagery. And I'm like, I think I'm thinking about trees. And it's a wonderful Magic Mother City. Olga, provide for kids a secure education, which is such an important concept. And Sean, Sean, you sound like a therapist. I'm going to come to you with for some more training. And I love your phrase of feeling the consciousness is a very powerful phrase and expression for all of us to understand. So thank you very much. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Chantal. Wow, what an amazing job as grammarian you did tonight. You were a true listener during this meeting and picked up so much. So thank you. As we draw this captivating journey of exploring everyone's dreams and ambitions to a close, I'm feeling fulfilled. I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm feeling fulfilled and with such a sense of inspiration and gratitude for all of you for sharing your stories. So thank you. And thank you to our wonderful role players this evening, our speakers, our evaluators, to everyone that's been online tonight. It's just been truly phenomenal. And as we part ways, as me with the Toastmaster of the evening, let us carry the commitment to chase our dreams and to transform our ambitions into tangible reality. So I wish that upon all of you. And then also to continue to support each other. I know in this environment we are supportive of one another, and we just want to continue that and find strength in the setbacks that we may come across in our lives. Thank you for being with us this evening, and I now hand over to my other self as president. So again, I thank you all who has participated in this evening. Our first time role players, Libby, Tabang, and Sean, you did a wonderful job, and your roles you filled with such ease. So thank you. Our next meeting will be on the 5th of September. It is an in-person meeting at the Cullinan Hotel, so we hope to see many of you there. The theme is choices in life. So I think that comes in quite nicely with tonight's theme, a follow-up. Sean, just to check in with you, did you get sign-ups for our next few meetings for roles?
Yes, I have a few. So I have Sally as timer. Maximina would like to do another speech. Luke Stewart for our counter. I put him down for our counter. He said he'll take on one of the roles. Lawrence is Toastmaster. Olga's doing an icebreaker. Jeremy Hamilton will be joining, and he will do his icebreaker. We will obviously get, all that details. And then Libby Edmonds will also do a speech. And then I'd like to put Paul back on for one of the table topics or one of the other roles because he missed tonight. It's a penalty that he has to pay. I'll get the other roles during the week. We'll find more people.
You've got time. Thank you, Sean. And now oh yes, Libby, do you have something to say to us or share with us?
Yes, I would just like to commend you, Justine, on all that you are doing. You've had big shoes to fill, and you are filling them so wonderfully. And I know Gabrielle is and will be so proud of what you've done tonight, taking on not one, but two roles and holding this meeting so beautifully as you do. And I think we need to all just unmute and say, we love you and what you are doing. Cheers to Justine.
We love you.
Oh,
thank you.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Oh, I love that too.
Just on a little note, I remember the said some of the people here might not know, and yeah, you might still hold the trophy for those, and you only got one tonight.
Yes, my biggest one is so. And I did say it a few times, I think, but I don't know.
Thank you, Justine.
Thank you so much, Libby. I appreciate your kind words. For the exciting part, we have our awards ready. I'm going to share the screen. We are first going to have our best speaker of the evening. So drum roll, please, for the best speaker, when it eventually does something. Okay, let's try again. Drum roll, please, for our best speaker of the evening. It's Lauren. Well done, Lauren. I'm just going to multitask quickly, and I'm going to just take a quick picture of that so we can use it for our social media. And then we have our next award, which is the best evaluator for the evening. So drum roll, please. We have John. John, you did a fabulous job of evaluating. Thank you so much. And then finally, we have the table topics, best speaker. Drum roll, please. And we go to Jeremy. Congratulations, Jeremy, your first meeting. And you have walked away with best table topics. And you are becoming a new member. So this is super exciting. We welcome you with open arms and look forward to hearing your icebreaker when you give it to us on the 5th, I think. Okay, then we've got, so Luke, this is for you. I found the Mark Brown quote. He was the 1995 world champion of public speaking. And his quote is, your accent is your asset. And as Libby mentioned, it is your superpower. So keep going with that accent. We will learn to understand you and we'll get there. It's about us. It's not about you. Well done to everybody. Thank you so much for a really beautiful evening. I just wanted to mention Madeleine from the Breakfast Club. She has been to many of our meetings. I'm sure most of you know her by now. She is offering a Pathways educational every Monday at 6 o'clock. It's next week's is slightly different because she's with another club. So from the 4th of September, 6 to 7, you are all invited to join. She talks about pathways. She talks about different roles. You're welcome to send her questions via WhatsApp, and she will hopefully answer all of those questions. She also does some information around Easy Speak. So I will send the invitation to everyone, and please, you are welcome to join whenever it suits you. It would be lovely to get some insight and just a little bit extra training where you can get it. Tonight was very inspiring. I loved hearing everyone's speeches and stories, as well as the table topics. They were outstanding. Everyone did a phenomenal job. And I just love how at every meeting, we get to learn a little bit more about our members. And that is just so beautiful to hear everyone's stories slowly coming through into oh dear, there's my into our meetings. I would like to, before we close off, just to check in with our two guests that joined us this evening. Just quickly, what is your takeaway from this evening? Jeremy, may I ask to have you go first? What is your takeaway from our evening?
I found a group of people that are exactly doing what I love to be doing. And this is so organized. This is so well distributed, well communicated, well celebrated. It actually feels like a safe environment. I actually felt safe to do it, like the impromptu, and this is the first time, and that's like just the proof of the safe space that you create. And so for me, it's a no-brainer that somewhere halfway I said, okay, I'm in. I'm joining. This feels right. This is right. This is exactly what I want from it. And to see other people speak and to get inspired by that, it's wonderful. To get to know people, actually know their personal stories, but also to see how they weave in these techniques and these skills into public speaking. Like, I feel right at home.
Oh, great. I'm so happy to hear that. And I don't even think it was halfway through. I think it was after the second speech. You were like, where do I sign up? So yeah, welcome. We're so happy to have you as a member. And Luke, how did you find the evening with us?
Hey, yeah, it was very, very interesting. So usually I sit and just listen, and I'm an observer. And I say a lot. That's definitely one thing I know for sure. But it was really engaging, and I think, we live in a world where we're bombarded with information and everything's crying for your attention, but you guys did really well at keeping at least me engaged, and I was very interested in what everyone had to say. And I think a big part of why I want to do this is because I listen a lot, and I listen to what people are saying. It makes me want to start a conversation, and I think that's a big part of what drives me to want to do this. Is people have a lot of things that they've experienced and gone through, and a lot of things to say, and we live in this world where everything's about me and everything's how my world is operating, but you get insights into everyone else's world and their perspectives, and that's what makes you want to start a conversation. So really enjoyed it, and I didn't really sign or volunteer myself for any of the speeches or anything, but yeah, really interesting, and hopefully I can join and make some time and commit to it and join you guys more often.
Wonderful, Luke. Thank you. And I think it would be great if you are in Cape Town to join us on the 5th of September, because then you can get a real feel for what the club.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely try and join. I should be available, so
okay, fabulous.
I don't know what the process is going from here, but I'll join for that.
Okay.
And thank you for having me as well. I just want to say thank you to everyone.
Thank you so much
for your
for
time.
being with us. And I can totally relate to you with regards to being a listener and an observer, because when I started in Toastmasters, I was exactly the same. I would just sit back and mostly listen. I would choose the grammarian role where I was just a listener and I just fed back what I had heard. So let's start that conversation, as you said, and let's see where it might take you. But thank you for sharing. Olga, what would you like to share with us?
I will be very short. I just would like to thank everyone for the opportunity and every time pulling me out of my own shell. It's not an easy task for me, but like Evenda told me last time on our meeting, I was born not to sit in the corner, and it is sitting in my mind to get out of the corner. And it is not only the English toasted classes or meetings. In Russian, I take some also educational programs. There is also some encouragement, and also some I'm taking the experiences from other people. So I feel more confident, and I just grateful to all of you.
Oh, Olga, thank you. That is so lovely. I can also relate to that. It's not easy sometimes having to stand up and speak, but it's about getting out of your comfort zone. And that's why we're all here. And we are a supportive group, and we just want to ensure that your growth is a successful journey. And I also wanted to just thank everybody, because I've noticed this evening people have been putting their hands up, and that's so helpful. I love to hear from members too, not just the guests. So thank you for sharing your insights. And when I know Sean popped his hand up, I'll ask you, Sean. But it's really nice, because then it's lovely for members to also hear, guests, sorry, what the members are feeling and what they are taking away from the meeting. Sean, what would you like to share with us?
I want to hear from Ivadni what she thought of the online meeting, this being her first virtual meeting. I would like to hear her thoughts.
Thank you, Sean. Great question.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. No, I think it went smooth. I think Jeremy remarked aptly to what he experienced. Getting it organized, everybody knows their role, it's smooth, it flows, there's no hiccups. Online we're all navigating through devices, just getting for 1 second, I had to, for a couple of 15 minutes, but it still went on. And that's what I liked. You kept within your time, and you also, everybody participated, and you managed to get everything done. Your speakers, they achieved their path progress and also received their feedback. And you also managed to have a very warm and welcoming and supportive atmosphere, similarly in person as you do online. So there's like a correlation. It's not actually different. Your vibe stays the same. So that's a good thing. But it's also maybe because I kind of become more familiar with your faces, but it's the same feeling because that's what the guests say. And that's what I also experience. And thank you very much for the invitation, Sean, and also for the many toasted faces that I start to know. And Justine, I will echo what Libby said before. I was on my phone, so the connection there, I wasn't fiddling too much on it. But you are doing an amazing job, Justine, and never forget that. Your hard work, your commitment, your resilience are the motivation for your club. And I know that you will only grow from strength to strength as you support your members, but also grow yourself as a very brilliant leader, because I can see it, and you are owning it, and you should claim it, and you are brilliant at it. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's so lovely to hear that our online meetings are as vibey as our in-person meetings, just without the champagne and the snack. But I do have to acknowledge that I have a brilliant exco. I really am blessed with really amazing people who are hands-on. They've taken on their role on the exco just beautifully, and I could not be doing it without them. So to all the exco members, thank you. To all the members of Toastmasters or ToastEd Toastmasters, I thank you all for being here tonight. And to our guests, we really hope to see your faces again very soon. I wish you a wonderful evening, and we will be back together in person on the 5th of September. I'm unfortunately not able to make that meeting, but we have got everyone running together, and it will be a beautiful meeting, and our dear Chantal will step into the president's shoes. So thank you so much, and I wish you all a lovely evening. Those in Cape Town, stay warm. Lots of love.